Welcome to On the Issues. I'm Irma Lauter, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen for Hingham. And today my guest is Greg Lane from the Hingham Development and Industrial Commission. And we'll be talking about the commission and their goals and objectives, and also sharing information that they presented to the South Hingham Study Group. But first, a couple words about what's coming up in the next few weeks. The CPC is meeting tonight and again next Wednesday, and both sessions will be televised. Each of the projects looking for money this year will have about 15 minutes. So you'll get a very detailed explanation of what people are asking for and the benefits to the town. So I invite everybody to either come to the meeting or watch on TV, as HCAM is so good about recording and televising as many meetings as they can possibly cover. The other issue, I want to thank everybody for an extremely meaningful Veterans Day ceremony, both at Town Hall, and Lisa Potts and Jamie Litchfield and all the veterans that helped put it on, and then at 2 o'clock in Linden Ponds. They did an amazing ceremony for the veterans. Also, the Aquarian Company Water Study Committee, there was some findings that are up on the website, if anyone's interested in reading them, that the motion for partial summary judgment was denied by the courts, and we really are on a timetable now for the litigation and the case to be heard February 23rd. And what the motion for partial summary judgment actually asked was to determine a methodology for determining the cost of the company, and that's really why we're in litigation. And there are many, many ways to do this. The statute was written in the 1800s, and we're now in 2014. So determining the methodology is very important. The judge is excellent, and it'll be good when this gets done. The trial should take about a week. And the fourth thing is we begin our budget hearings at the beginning in December. So this is your tax money we're spending, so please stay tuned to both the advisory committee and the selectmen's meetings. So now let's turn to Greg. Greg, welcome.
Thank you very much, Irma.
I think you have made such a difference with the Hingham Development and Industrial Commission. There is so much more communication coming out of your group now. And what I'd like you to do first is tell us a little bit about the commission.
Sure. Well, I moved to Hingham about 10 years ago, and was always interested in getting involved and seeing how I could actually help in town. And when an opportunity came to fill a seat on the Development and Industrial Committee, I jumped at it, and I got fortunate, got appointed to it. And I thought, some of the energy that I was bringing to the committee really kind of focused on communicating both internally amongst ourselves as a committee and the town, internally at Town Hall, as well as with the residents. So for the first 6 to 8 months I was on the committee, we reached out, started working with the Chamber of Commerce, the Hingham Business Council, the Downtown Association a little bit more, as well as the Harbor Development Committee and others around town. Through that we got feedback that there's a lot going on in Hingham. Hingham was an exciting place to be, and not everyone knew what was going on. So we then started focusing on external communications. I think our committee has really taken the approach that getting more information out is better, trying to keep the community informed so that when it comes time to speaking on issues, that they have the information they need, so they can make an informed decision. And I think that meeting, that was really our objective. The downtown is the prize of this community. I think everyone loves to go down and have an ice cream at Nona's, go catch a movie, and seeing that corner of South Street and Main Street redeveloped is an exciting opportunity. But we wanted to make sure that all the merchants in the area understood what was taking place, and that they could then help communicate to the town some of their issues, because obviously we want to see that corner redeveloped in a way we can all be proud of. But we also want to make sure that the merchants continue to succeed, and that'll be an interesting equation to work out when that time comes.
And now your commission is composed of 6 members?
We're 7, including myself.
7, excuse me. All volunteers.
All volunteers. We are actually one of the few committees that actually is established by a state charter. each of our members serves 5 years, and really, I didn't know much about the committee myself before being approached to be on it, and it's an exciting group. Their focus is really economic development in town, how to promote it, how to both with what's existing in town, the businesses and the merchants and the property owners, as well as how to attract new business to town.
What is your commission actually is one of the longer serving ones, because a normal tour on any of our committees is 3 years, and you and the Rec Commission are 5 years. So that is a tremendous commitment of time on a volunteer basis, but very much needed. Where the economic development is a prime goal, and it is a selectman's goal, that your work with the South Hingham Study Group has been very important as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We're fortunate to have on our committee folks, like you said, who have a lot of background in town, who have served on various committees, and as you said, some of our members are actually serving their second tour. So they've both lived in town and been involved in economic development and seen the change, and I think one of the long-term goals of our committee has been to see South Hingham, particularly the industrial park, redeveloped. And for many years we worked and singularly focused on the business park itself, and we're very excited that the state actually recognized that as an economic development zone, what they call 43D. And so through that process, we started also looking outside the boundaries of the business park and kind of getting a better grasp of what's going on. Hingham has a tradition of a lot of small and industrial-based industries that both were founded here and who have grown over time. But listen, the economy's changed. A lot of that has moved to places outside of the United States, and with that, the properties in that area have changed. And so what we did was, in order for the South Hingham Study Group to help make an informed decision, we decided to take a look at the inventory of the area and what type of properties were there, how they were being used, and we shared that information with them back in September. We found that there's a lot of great companies that are based in that area. Blue Cross Blue Shield's there, EMD Sorona's on the Rockland border, but they have some property in Hingham. They're very exciting. We got the Bone and Muscle Center, but we also found some properties that were being underutilized, and there's approximately 250 or so thousand square feet of office space that is on the market right now, waiting for someone to swoop in and fill those shoes. And we've started seeing some of that turn over, small piece by small piece. There are actually some very unique uses taking place in the business park, not far from where we're sitting here. We have a CrossFit center, which came moved in. A nationally recognized CrossFit center actually featured on ESPN. There's a distillery that moved in, and we're very excited, making high-end private label liqueurs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there's now, I think, a rock climbing wall. So those are small uses, though. They're not your traditional office commercial uses. And we think that, anecdotally, that may be the direction in the future for both the business park and South Hingham.
Which is great, because that is, as you said, the tradition in Hingham. We're more smaller businesses. It's nice to have things like the Bone and Muscle Center, because we need the economic growth, but we want it to be compatible with the neighborhoods. And I know you're working with the Farm Hills area, the neighbors down there as well, and making sure that they have all the information as we go through this economic development of South Hingham area.
Listen, South Hingham is one of the main gateways to our town. It's what most people probably see when they first enter Hingham. Very few people probably come down 3A to enter town. Busy road, but really, obviously, exit 14, exit 15 are how people get into Hingham. And the ability to make that an attractive place, make that a place that there are neighborhoods that people can enjoy and live in. Some of our most historic neighborhoods are in that area. Is obviously an important part of the fabric of this community. And there are ways to do that complement the existing and historic commercial base that's been there. I mean, that area has been commercial for decades and decades.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you? I don't know that most people know what a 43D is. We've shown it on the selectmen's meetings, but can you just touch on that and why that's so important for Hingham?
Sure. A lot of hard work went into putting the 43D together. 43D is the state has designated places where they feel economic development should be. And a lot of work goes into determining that location, the size of the parcels in the area, the type of infrastructure that's in place. And the other key component are communities that want to see and invite economic development. And so one of the criteria for being designated a 43D is being able to permit projects in a reasonable amount of time. And the state has designated that as 180 days.
That's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you end up with an approval after 180 days. It only means that the process is it gets completed and there's some kind of conclusion. Now, it is some projects in Hingham have actually been able to do that. The Bone and Muscle Center is a great example of that. And I think it's a testament to the folks at Town Hall, particularly in the Community Development Department, Planning Department, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Conservation Commission. These committees, also mostly all volunteers, have really a good working relationship and are able to take a look at these applications, determine exactly what's required in order for them to be approved or to help the applicant to get to completion. And I think that's really the key ingredient for the 43D.
That's an excellent explanation of it. I know some of the bylaws and the things we do are very complex. Want to talk a little bit about your work with the shipyard and harbor area and the committees we have there, harbor development, and then the growth in the shipyard.
North Hingham and the shipyard is such an exciting place in town. It's a great example of a smart mixed-use development over there, and we're very excited to see it to continue to grow. I think with the growth of the residential components over there, and now we actually have a new office space moving in. There's above Beer Works, there's going to be a shared workspace, so it's going to be ability for young entrepreneurs, really any type of entrepreneur interested in having established workspace to be able to come. You can have one office, you can have 5 offices. There's going to be shared. The owners of that parcel came in and did a nice presentation for us and showed us their work, their conference rooms, and they're going to open that space up also to the community for nonprofit organizations to be able to use that.
Oh, wow.
in off
Oh, that's
hours.
excellent, because
So
we do need meeting space.
yeah, everyone does. No one wants to work, everyone just wants to meet.
Yeah, and of course the shipyard is now like a restaurant destination.
It is a restaurant destination. It's a transportation destination. I think that's probably the key component for Hingham to keep us on the map, is that intermodal transportation hub right there that the state is building, particularly the ferry. And I think that is going to be a key ingredient to see the rest of that, particularly that office and commercial space build out over there.
And I think we can't plug enough that the Intermodal Center now, thanks to Senator Hedlund, with the help of Representative Bradley, is going to be named for the Herbert L. Foss building. And
I did hear that's really exciting.
It's very exciting. It'll be so nice to see it when it happens. We're hoping it's going to be finalized and there'll be the building will be named and everything by the time on his birthday again next year.
Well, I think that speaks to the fabric of this community, right? We have the ability to have one of the probably most modern and entertaining areas mixed with the ocean and transportation and a link into the airport and to the Boston, and to be able to call that and recognize a historic figure in our community.
How are you coming with the work trying to link the harbor and the downtown?
I know
that's a challenge.
I know it's a challenge. I know it's something that's been attempted for a long time. Our approach is we're just getting that initiative kicked off. We're working with the Community Planning and Development Department to identify grants. So really what we'd like to do is, there are a lot of great committees that have already started doing great work. There's a lot of great work product out there, and really bringing everyone together to figure out where we are at and how to plan into the next steps. And what we really like to see is, there's a lot of excitement going on at the harbor right now. I mean,
definitely.
I think all the great work that's been done in the promotion of the Lincoln Center. You've got the rec department down there putting on great programs during the summer. How do we get some of that energy into the square in the center?
And I know one of the projects that I'm really pushing is to have Summer Street and the Rotary addressed so that it'll be a lot easier for people on the harbor side coming into the downtown, or vice versa, people that are in the downtown or in any of the restaurants there, going to the harbor side and being able to walk along the water and the beautiful scenery we have down there and enjoy the harbor from both the land side and the seaside.
It's interesting to see some of the key components you asked. How do you bring that energy? And we don't have all the answers right now, but I know that pedestrian bicycle link and being able to do that is a key component. And we're actually very excited that the town is working on a master trails plan.
Yeah. Oh, that is exciting.
And I know,
Yeah.
and our committee actually has one representative seat on that, because we'd like to see that whatever trail plan put together is holistically looking at some of our economic development centers to be able to link them. So and we think the harbor is a key component to that.
And that was a CPC project too. That was funded by the CPC. So we're so lucky to have a CPC in this town. Many towns still don't have a CPC to spend money on historical preservation, open space and recreation, and housing. So we're always looking for good projects there. The Summer Street area is a serious concern, that we really would like to address the safety issues there, while at the same time completing the road work for Derby Street to make that easier to be developed. And there's going to be a meeting on the 19th that it will be an open public meeting to discuss the state of the Derby Street area and all the road work that's being there. And that would be a good one for any resident that's interested to please come to the meeting. It'll be posted where it is. It'll be at Town Hall, but it will be posted on our website. So I'm sure you guys are going to be right in the middle of that.
We're keeping an eye on that. I think that drives to really what our committee is seeing. And we only have anecdotal evidence right now, which is a national, international trend is really being able to have a mix of uses in an area. Our focus is on the economic, the commercial component of that, but you can't ignore the residential component. That's the other part of the mix, along with a mix of recreation, and seeing how that puzzle fits together. And if it fits together successfully, then you're going to see you're on the map. And I think that Hingham has a great backbone to start with from that.
And what other projects are you all involved in?
Well, we've kind of taken a look at town and divided it in three sections. We've got the 3A Harbor area, we've got the downtown area, and we have in South Hingham. And so we're going to continue working in South Hingham to see some promotion here, particularly here in the business park. And I think now that we're designated as an economic development zone, I think we'll see some of that starting to kick off. Down on downtown area, we've got obviously we talked about the redevelopment of the Lincoln Building. There's also the Settles Glass property, and then there's the idea of which we'd like to see developed. And we're trying to work with the property owner on that as well, and then continue the architectural. What do you want to call it? The wires, I guess. Trying to take the North Street wires down to make it look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.
I think that will be a great celebration when that finally happens. That's a rather lengthy project.
Well, I think that's why a lot of our committee members have long terms and have been focused on making sure to see those things actually come to fruition.
Let's talk a little bit about tax rates and valuations. The Board of Selectmen at our last meeting voted to maintain a single tax rate. And basically, while we really want to grow economic development and invite businesses in, you can't really do that when you're raising taxes on business more so than residents. And also for Hingham, one of the beauties of this town and one of the things that makes it very special is we have lots and lots of very small businesses. And if you go into the downtown area, you'll see all of the great businesses we have. Nona's, I can't help but say Nona's, I love Nona's, La Petite Maison, McLaughlin's, all of these are small businesses. And we don't want to chase those out. So Greg, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the valuation and how it's changed over time.
Yeah, absolutely. When we took a look at South Hingham for our inventory study, we started working with some of the tax assessor documents, and we were really surprised, pleasantly surprised, I should add, to see that in 2006, our commercial property valuation was somewhere around $230, $240 million, which sounds like a big number. But when you compare it to where we are today, we're actually well over $400 million. And that's only commercial, that's not including the industrial properties in town. I think when you add the two together, you're well north of $600 million worth of commercial and industrial property on the tax map. It gives you a good feeling for where Hingham is today and what the potential is for tomorrow. And so I think that's a great idea to not lose sight of making sure that Hingham stays welcome to both small and large businesses who are thinking about relocating here. So we really have two parts of town from a commercial perspective. We've got South Hingham, and we talked about the business park and the opportunities there being located at Exit 15, where you have large parcels, you have existing buildings in there that are ready for someone to make that their world headquarters. When we have smaller businesses in the downtown area and along the harbor area, and those really are, like you said, the backbone of this community. If you take a look at some of the employment numbers, it's interesting to see that the town actually ranks as, probably to no surprise, one of the highest employers of town. But second to that, we have a few big employers in town. I mentioned a couple of them before, EMD, Sorona, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. But really the bulk of our employment in Hingham is small law firms. It's the retail merchants down in the square. It's entrepreneurs who are just starting out. The home workforce space is huge in Hingham.
Yes, and that's a hidden workforce that people really don't think about, all of the home-based businesses that we have. And we're very lucky to have them. So keeping the tax rate a single rate, things like the 40D, 43D process down in South Hingham, hopefully will invite more business in.
It should. I mean, in speaking with some of the folks that are part of the Samuels shipyard development, one of the that makes that location so desirable is its location in Hingham, with great schools, all the amenities around the area. And as they described it, it's a lifestyle choice to locate in a place like that. It's because you're not in downtown Boston, but yet, you have all these great amenities, you got a great community, and what we talked about before, the transportation is key. So you can jump on the ferry and get into Boston to see a client, or go catch an airplane ride. So that's key for that area. And I think the idea of keeping the tax rate attractive, and making sure that we remain, not only is it attractive, but I think it sends a message that Hingham is open for business.
And it's welcoming to business.
Yeah.
It's interesting because some towns have as many as 4 tax rates, which I can't even imagine trying to manage that.
It's a lot of paperwork.
Yes, it is. And it's interesting how towns have evolved in this, but I think Hingham is very lucky to stay with a single tax rate.
I think so too, because I can't imagine having to fill out the paperwork, but I can also imagine as a new business looking, where do I want to locate, and taking a look at the towns around where I may want to go, and then thinking, okay, I've got a place like Hingham that has so many great qualities to it, and that's icing on the cake.
It was interesting, Rick Nowlin, who's our assessor, gave some numbers which I don't remember exactly, but for a very small change in the residential tax rate to lower it means a 10-fold increase in taxes for our commercial, which sounds good until you factor in that we have so many mom and pop businesses that they can't really afford that. And we want to preserve that quality that Hingham has.
Well, I think you touch on something, what our committee is taking a look at in particular is, and what we're working with the Chamber of Commerce, is one of the key issues that's facing this nation and really a lot of nations is you've got the baby boomers who are now aging, right? We've got an older population. They are, as they retire, there are job opportunities. But if your community doesn't have the work base to fill those opportunities, those employers are going to go locate somewhere else. And so I think Hingham is well poised to keep that in mind when they're looking to plan and to figure out which kind of businesses they want to attract to this community, because we need a strong, healthy commercial tax base to support the wonderful services we all enjoy here at Hingham.
And it's interesting, as the baby boomers age, it's almost like 60 is becoming the new 30. and they're looking for opportunities to continue working, but also for recreation. And they want to be able to live in the town they grew up in and have all the services there in terms of recreation and learning, distance learning, with our wonderful library. And I love the idea of the businesses that are moving into the shipyard, where they're going to open it up for community space.
Yeah, you know, I've heard the 60s, new 30. I won't say my exact age, but I guess I'm somewhere in the 20s. I can tell you I don't feel that way, especially when we're standing out on the football field and it's 20 degrees outside. But I think you're right. In all seriousness, I think that folks want to be able to work close, particularly as they're getting older. As well as on the other end of the spectrum. I mean, the 20s and 30s something, what they call the Gen Ys, really want to be able to work, live, and play in a very close proximity. And that's why you've really seen the urban cores, places like Boston, San Francisco, New York, have done very well. They've really seen, in this economy that a lot of people are struggling through, the recession really isn't over for a lot of families, unfortunately. But some of those urban cores have really seen a revival. Boston is gaining a population. Most of Massachusetts is losing population. Same with New York. And that's a testament to the fact what you spoke to about as far as what these demographics find interesting. And so you see the older folks who want to, they're coming to the end of their careers. They may not be, they may be looking for other things to keep them entertained as they kind of wind down. And so that's an important component for Hingham to keep in mind. And at the same time, we can't lose sight that we need to make sure we stay attractive for that 30 to, that young families trying to start out. Because if they aren't able to move to Hingham for whatever reason, whether it's a lifestyle decision or if it's a cost of the housing product we have in town, then the employers who need those 30-somethings to fill their workforce, they're not going to want to locate here.
Looking into the future, your commission is going to become more and more important as you're the bridge across many of our committees, and you're the ones that are going to be bringing information to the selectmen and kind of watching over everything while you watch the outside world as well. Because our growth right now, looking out over the next 5 years, is slowing. Linden Ponds is just about built out. The shipyard is just about built out. And your working with the South Hingham Group and the harbor area, is going to be so important as we look for economic development.
Well, I think you touched on something that we started off this about the communication, and I think that one of the things our committee is trying to focus on is working with the businesses we have here and keeping good relationships with them, and understanding that there are sometimes outside forces that are at play on whether they're successful or not. I mean, we take a look at Talbot's, obviously founded here in Hingham. It's one of the backbones of this community. They've had their successes. They had some challenges for a long time. I think they're now, again, they have a new CEO who's very successful, and we had a nice meeting with her back in last May, I think it was last June. And she's put a mandate in place that she wants all of her employees to live on the South Shore.
Wouldn't that be great? They are such good community partners. They have done so much already for working with groups in town and making themselves available. I don't think it's happened yet, but the Historical Society will be using some of their space as the Heritage Museum gets built, and there'll be no charge for it. So you can't get any better than that. And so we look forward to perhaps having you back. But thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing. And Greg and the commission puts out a weekly report that is full of information. I use it to figure out what else is going on in the town. So we hope you'll continue doing that. But thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And we'll see you again for the next issue of On the Issues. Thank you so much.